Hi there, Colin from Adelaide Hills Hedges here, and in today's video we're going to be cleaning up this big fallen fruit tree limb, and you can see that it's failed along an included bark ridge here. So if you think of a tree branch union, if you have something that's like that has a U shape, those two pieces are connected. If your branch unions come to a V, they likely have what we call an included bark ridge, and that's where there's bark grown between the two sections of trees, so they're not really connected. So over time they just get really heavy and then they fall, which is what we have here. So I'm going to cut up the fallen piece, and the client wants to retain the remainder at their own discretion. Of course, I advise them to chop it down because it's not a perfectly stable tree. And sorry, there's a excavator doing the shimmy shake in the background, but I'm going to be cleaning this up, and they're going to keep the tree because if you actually look at it, it's kind of nice and it provides shade. There's going to be a construction site next door for the foreseeable future, so we might take a little bit of weight off that side. So the clients put trunk paint on there. I've told them that that's a bit of an outdated practice, but anyways, yeah, we're going to clean up this limb and get out of the way. Just clipping along here. So when you have a tree that's kind of fallen over like this, you have to be careful how you cut it. Now this is pretty low stakes. It's not a very big tree, but that being said, you could still damage something on the property. Like over there, the tree's hung up on the gutter. It's also hung up on the other tree there. So what you want to do is you actually want to leave it as stable as you can along the ground. So you identify which limbs are actually holding the whole thing upright. So this piece along the bottom is holding it, those pieces over there, and obviously over here. Now there's also going to be a lot of elasticity in those limbs when you cut them. So if you come in and did an overcut here, for example, it would pinch your saw blade and trap it. Same with over there if you just start cutting willy-nilly across the top. So you need to use a series of undercuts, and basically there's going to be like a lot of elasticity in sections like that. But I can still cut those working from the top of the tree down. I can still cut those without destabilizing the whole thing and doing too much damage over there. So I'm going to leave that whole lower frame intact, and I'm going to cut across the top section, kind of working my way across to try and do that without, you know, I mean, like I say, it's not a big tree. It's not going to kill me, but it could trap my saw blade, which would be embarrassing and annoying, or it could, you know, the whole thing could just fall and do some unnecessary damage. So we'll do a bit of that. Now I'm going to show you something super useful if you've got a piece like this that's kind of up in the air and you don't want to just cut it and drop it. Let's say this was over a greenhouse and you didn't want to drop it through a glass window. This takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of knowledge about tensile strength of wood, which is the strength at which the wood will break or hole. But for most trees, it's pretty straightforward. So you're going to do an undercut or an overcut first. I always do the undercut so it doesn't get pinched, and then you're going to do an overcut slightly farther away, and then you can just snap this piece off without having to worry. You can just put your saw down and do it safely. So let's watch this. So right there, the reason why it's called a snap cut is because the wood will snap. Now, I did a little bit of a hefty cut because I don't want to wrestle with it, and fruit wood can be a little chewy, but watch this. Snap. It's a pretty big piece. It probably weighs about, I don't know, 40, 50 pounds. And now I can just throw that out of the way, which again, if that was over the roof of a shed or whatever, I probably would have done a smaller cut there. Almost ended up with egg on my face, but I'm gonna leave that in to show you kind of the idea, because right there you saw the snap, and if we look where it was cut, it's not a tear, it's a snap. So you just kind of pop that piece right off. And again, knowing that this is fruit wood, I knew that I had quite a bit of strength in the bark there. So that's a snap cut. So now we've got these pieces that are laying on the gutter and across the rest of the canopy there, and that's where we need to be a little careful so that we don't ruin anything or have the tree come crashing down unnecessarily. And again, I'm going to stress this is not a very big tree, so there's not a lot of risk here involved, but you still want to be careful at any level you're working with, because small mistakes, especially where a small job where you're not going to charge a lot, can end up costing you a lot more than would be profitable otherwise. So let's go clear that off. All right, so now aside from this little portion here, which is just hung up there, everything's kind of cleared off. I'll probably have to clear up a bit of stuff on the gutter there just for safety's sake, because there's a couple of broken branches. But yeah, now the whole thing's kind of sitting on the frame like that, and I can again work from the higher pieces, cut them back, and just keep the whole thing level and stable while I'm cutting. And once I get back to the knuckle, I can snap cut those pieces off and manage things quite easily. So I'm probably going to run out of battery in the camera, but I will do a little time lapse of clearing as much of this out as I can, and then maybe I might have time to charge up the camera and talk a little more. But if I don't, thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions about anything you've seen in this video, just let me know. Check out some other stuff on my channel. This is the kind of stuff that I do on a daily basis. I enjoy my job, and I'm happy to share whatever valuable information I can with you. Bye-bye.